All right, good morning, folks. This is Jason with the Primal Outdoors channel, and today I have met up with Donald with Soft Roading the West, and we're going to continue some of the overland route that we've been working on for the past couple years. That started off with the route that I made back in 2018 called the Bend to Alvord. Donald and I took that route, and we had such a good time that we decided to extend it. The last couple years we've been working in the Oahe, and now this year we're going to be moving out of that country and into some other remote parts of Oregon. So excited for the trip. Gonna get some breakfast this morning. We've got a cloudy day, it's a little bit rainy. Donald's finishing up getting some footage of his setup and for his video, but we're gonna get on the road. All right, folks, well, I'm just trying to shovel down a quick breakfast before we get out of here. We're going to be taking off here in the next few minutes. It has been raining a little bit this morning, and it did rain throughout the night. As it seems right now, it feels like it's just rained enough to where it'll settle the dust, and that should be actually pretty nice for traveling, especially for Donald, who I believe is going to be behind me. We might bounce back and forth on that a little bit this trip, depending on the section of route we're working on. If it gets too wet here, it can get really muddy and nasty, and Donald and I both have had, pretty poor experiences out in this area when the ground gets saturated, because it gets greasy and it just cakes to your tires and it keeps building. Really terrible to drive in. So we're hoping it doesn't rain too much. Right now, like I said, it seems like it's been just enough rain to settle the dust, so that should be nice. We don't really have a set destination in mind today. We do have a loose route that we're following that we've put together through Gaia, but I don't think we have a set destination we're going to try to achieve today. We're just going to drive until we feel like quitting. All right, guys, so this is an unfortunate set of circumstances. I was actually getting the van ready to travel, and Donald happened to notice over here that I have a broken mount on my light bar. So that's a problem. I'm gonna have to figure out really quick a solution for that. It must have broke while I was on my trip in the Oahe. There was a lot of jostling around the van, but yeah, it looks like the weld just broke on this mount that's on the rack here itself. So I'm gonna grab some tire wraps and some tape and see if we can't come up with a temporary fix until I get back. It should be an easy enough fix when I get back. I can re-weld it, but yeah, right now it is a bit of a challenge. All right, guys, well, we got it fixed, or at least temporarily fixed. Obviously that's not going to hold forever, but I just wrapped it with a bunch of tape, so hopefully that will hold at least for the next few days while we do these check out these roads. But when I get back to the shop, I'll go ahead and get it all welded back up properly. But that's just the way it is. When you're out using your vehicle, if you're off-roading and stuff, things are rattling and shaking, and you're going to have stuff break. And if you don't have things breaking, then you're just not playing hard enough. All right, radio check. Are we good to go?
Radio check.
All right, moving out. That's interesting. I noticed there's a road crew up there, and I noticed there's paint marks on the road that I don't remember seeing when I came in.
Oh, interesting.
All right, well, we did all that jacking around at camp, fixing my light bar and doing all that. And we could have been using that time to tear down our tires because we only had a short stint of pavement that we had to jump onto. So we could have gotten all of this taken care of, and we just spaced it. I don't know, I feel like with all the setbacks today, I feel like I'm like brand new at overlanding, like I've never done this before. But anyways, we're gonna air down the tires because we are gonna be on dirt for a good while today. I mean, pretty much probably for the next 2 days, I think we'll be on dirt. It's worth it to air the tires down, just make the ride a little bit more comfortable. Folks, well, we are finally on our way, and it's fairly beautiful country, and of course we got kind of a gray, cloudy day today, so everything's a little bit flat lighting. It's still really kind of interesting country. The road so far is pretty rocky, which is actually a convenience on today, just because that helps keep the mud under control. You can probably, I don't know if you can hear the rocks and the mud, see the mud kind of flying up on the side of the van, but it's not as nearly as bad as I feared as it could be. It's been raining a little bit on and off, but not too bad. So far so good. This route has actually turned out to be a little bit more interesting than I originally thought it would be. And I actually think it is because of the weather. It is, very cloudy and a little bit rainy, but there's this really cool cloud layer that is just floating in the mountains, and it looks incredible. And with the wide open expanses of the area we're going through, it's just beautiful. So I'm actually enjoying that part. Now, the one thing is, as I've mentioned, is with the rain, this area gets very slimy. It's like grease. It's like, for people that have never experienced it, like just imagine taking axle grease and coating your tires with it and then trying to, drive along a smooth or slippery surface. And that's kind of what we got going on here right now. There are sections we go through where it's a little bit muddy. Our tire's coated with that mud. And then we're getting to drive on a lot of almost like river rock, hard river rock, because the rocks are slick and we got the mud on the tires. I can definitely feel the van shifting a lot and moving around a lot. So that is a little bit concerning. It's not too bad. I am paying attention, but on any type of hilly terrain where you got steep drop-offs, it can be concerning for sure. All right, so I've gotten out real quick. I just want to show you guys. You can see how the mud is caking to the tires. It's actually caking to my boots as well. But my challenge that I'm having right now is we're coming down this hill that you can see, and it doesn't look like it, and I'm sure it's gonna look like nothing in the camera, but it's just enough off camber on this one side here that I'm a little bit concerned because the van has all that mud on the tires and it keeps wanting to slide. It's probably not gonna be a problem. I'm trying to ride a little bit up on the hill, which I'm not necessarily sure is helping me. It might actually be more of a challenge, but we're gonna try to get through here, work our way down the rest of this. The problem is like I said, it's kind of a hard pack. If you just look at my boots here, you can just see how it just sticks to your feet. Not my favorite, not my favorite. I'm just gonna probably scout this a little bit, see what we have coming up ahead, and make sure that I feel like there's nothing that's gonna get me wadded up in a really bad position. Me and Donald both have a healthy respect for this mud. We both had situations where we've slidden off the road and it's gotten pretty precarious, but we feel like we'd have almost as much challenge trying to backtrack, getting the vehicles turned around on the skinny road and getting back to a place where we'd have a level spot to camp as we will have just to go through this one section. So what we are going to do, just to give us a little advantage, is we're going to use my traction boards, and any spot that I'm a little off camber and on the hillside, I'm going to use the traction boards as a way to kind of sure up the van and hopefully get me through that section without challenge. All right, so we've been moving along here pretty well. It has been really steep and rocky, but we haven't had any more sections that made me super nervous since we left. It's been absolutely gorgeous. Lots of mega views up here, really cool. I like that. Now, the one thing I am a little concerned about is we have ran into quite a few people up here because it turns out it is the elk season for this area. And we are on some, extremely narrow roads on the side of a mountain right now. And we've got a pretty long section here that we have to get through until we kind of get into a little bit more open area. So the challenge would be is if how we ran into another rig coming our way and trying to get around each other because there's just not a lot of room. All right, folks. Well, I think we found a spot that we're going to camp for tonight. It looks like a nice big open area, and there's a couple of fire pits, so definitely a spot where people have camped before. It looks like to be a pretty decent size elk camp. It's actually fairly early in the day, and we are going to camp, even though that we could probably drive for at least another couple, 3 hours before it got dark. The reason why we are going to go ahead is just like I said, because of the wet weather and everything, we are dealing with a lot of just really slick roads. And in fact, there was a couple points I didn't even really film because it was the van was just sliding down the ruts like a bobsled in some of the spots, and I just had to really focus my attention. So like I said, tomorrow, according to the weather report I looked at this morning, is supposed to be a bit drier. So I think what we'll do is we'll just have an easy evening tonight. This is a great spot to stop, and we'll have a campfire maybe, and then we can continue on tomorrow with hopefully a bit drier weather.